Chapter 1000. Inside the dead end, puppet battleships shuttled back and forth. The dead end was the entrance to Elysium. Normally, only life and death kings could freely enter and exit. Those below the realm of life and death would be directly annihilated into nothingness. However, with the protection of the puppet battleships, the demons and evil spirits below the realm of life and death would be safe and sound. In a few blinks of an eye, all the puppet battleships arrived in Elysium's starry sky. What a powerful suppressive power! Almost at the same time, everyone felt their realm being suppressed. The fifth layer of life and death realm was suppressed to the third layer of life and death realm, the third layer to the first layer of life and death realm, and the third layer to the half-step king realm, while the half-step king realm was suppressed to the peak of late sea of soul realm. The lower the realm, the smaller the suppression. For example, astral reaching realm experts were only suppressed a little. However, invading another world was not as simple as having one's realm suppressed. Because the world's yuan qi in the true spirit world was not suitable for the demon race and evil spirit race, the two races could not display their martial arts to the limit. In other words, under the same realm, their battle power was inferior to that of the outside world, and they could only display about 80% of their strength. Not good. My gate is broken. A demon king of demons yelled as the aura on his body leaked out. In the blink of an eye, his realm had dropped from the third layer to the first layer. He was originally at the fifth layer, but after being suppressed, his realm had turned into nothingness due to his weak foundation. Even if he were to leave Elysium right now, his realm would only be below the first layer. As for the others, after leaving Elysium, their suppressed realm would return, and they would only need to go into seclusion for a while to recover to their peak. Mine is broken as well. There were many from the Tao sect who did not have a solid foundation. More than 40 demons had their cultivation levels plummeted, while nearly 20 evil spirit race members had their cultivation levels plummeted the most. The better ones had their cultivation levels plummeted to the bottom. Damn it, we didn't earn enough in Elysium this time. It's a big loss. A demon king's face was filled with anger. The commander of the demons creased his brows. More than 60 life and death kings of the evil spirit race had their battle power greatly reduced, and some of them had even lost more than half of their battle power. This was not a good sign. Perhaps I'm overthinking things. We, the demons, have brought 1,000 demon kings, and the evil kings of the evil spirit race have nearly 500 as well. Adding Elysium and our demons and evil spirit race's experts, a mere 60 life and death kings is nothing. Who is the commander of my demons this time? Just as the puppet warship passed through the dead end and entered Elysium, a majestic voice rang out. It was as if a mighty god was speaking, and the voice was omnipresent. What a vigorous demonic power! The commander of the evil spirit race was shocked, and a bitter expression appeared on his face. The demons had 3 demon emperors in Elysium, while their evil spirit race only had 1 evil emperor. If he guessed correctly, the speaker should be the troll emperor. The troll emperor had the demonic bloodline of the demons, and his true body was extremely huge. In the same realm, his demonic power was more than 10 times that of an ordinary person. Lord Troll Emperor, I'm Blood Scythe. I'm honored to be the commander this time. The door of the leading demon's puppet warship opened, and a tall figure flew out and said respectfully. Alright, you'll still be the commander. However, the commander is me, the Troll Emperor. You'll have to listen to my orders. The Troll Emperor said without hesitation. Yes. The Blood Scythe Demon King was not surprised. He was only a temporary commander, and after arriving in Elysium, he still had to listen to the strongest. After the Troll Emperor spoke, Emperor Inshur did not want to be left behind. He asked who the commander of the evil spirit race was. Different from the Troll Emperor's mighty voice, Emperor Inshur's voice was extremely mysterious and pervasive. It was as if a venomous snake had drilled into one's ear and hissed, making one's scalp go numb. The commander of the evil spirit race was a middle-aged man with a hooked nose. He was called the Eagle Demon King. He walked out and paid his respects to Emperor Inshur. The evil altar of the evil spirit race is sealed in the number 1 king level forbidden ground of the Blood Sky continent, the Evil Mace. As long as 72 evil kings join forces to activate the summoning altar technique, the evil altar will be able to break free and be used by the evil spirit race, Emperor Inshur said. The Eagle Demon King said, "Rest assured, Lord Evil Emperor. This time, our evil spirit race has sent 500 evil kings, and there are more than 100 who are proficient in the summoning altar technique. Alright, as long as the evil altar appears, we will be able to unceasingly replenish our evil power without worrying about exhausting it." Emperor Inshur smiled coldly. In Elysium, evil chi was sparse. It was fine for a short war, but for a long war, the evil altar was required to gather evil chi. Troll Emperor, we'll be going first. I hope you can bite the hard bone that is the true spirit continent. Turning his head, Emperor Inshur said to the Troll Emperor. The Troll Emperor smiled, "The true spirit continent is hard to bite, and the Sky Sword continent is not to be trifled with either. I'm just afraid that your evil spirit race will suffer a setback." The two had already come to an agreement. The evil spirit race would attack the Sky Sword continent, while the demons would attack the true spirit continent. As for the Blood Sky continent, there were no more experts left. All the astral reaching realm and above experts had gathered in the true spirit continent and the Sky Sword continent. Then let's see who succeeds first. Emperor Inshur didn't care. He brought the numerous evil kings of the evil spirit race and 200 puppet battleships and left. Lord Troll Emperor, where are we going first? The evil spirit race has the evil altar, and we, the demons, also have a demonic power source. Let's go to the chaotic demon ocean first. The Troll Emperor waved his hand and said loudly, "Let's go." The chaotic demon ocean had long since been emptied. All the demonic humans had migrated away. In the depths of the ocean, a black light suddenly rushed toward the surface. Bang! Water splashed everywhere as a tall and perfect body broke out of the water. She had a long neck like a swan, a slender waist, and extremely long legs. However, she didn't give off a weak feeling. On the contrary, she seemed to be a combination of strength and beauty. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, reaching down to her buttocks. What a pity that the demons have come. Otherwise, I would have been able to cultivate to the 3rd layer of life and death realm. The beautiful woman raised her head and gazed at the sky. At the same time, the Troll Emperor, who was passing through the 3rd layer of Elysium, also saw her. This aura, the Troll Emperor revealed a pensive expression. What a miracle! She actually has the bloodline of the Dark Demoness. I, the Troll Emperor, am truly fortunate. Terrifying laughter reverberated throughout the heaven and earth. The Troll Emperor made a grabbing motion, and the sky suddenly darkened. A huge demonic hand shrouded over the beautiful woman like a sky-blotting shadow. Voila! The beautiful woman's complexion didn't change. Behind her, a pair of huge wings unfolded. They weren't bat wings, but the demonic wings, which were even more powerful and filled with power. Puff! The space shattered, and the beautiful woman's figure flickered, streaking toward true spirit continent like a black lightning bolt. Her speed was so fast that it almost reached the level of short-distance teleportation. Where do you think you're going? The Troll Emperor roared, and the sky-blotting demonic hand chased after the beautiful woman. Unfortunately, the beautiful woman's speed wasn't much slower than the demonic hand. Adding on the fact that the further they went, the weaker the Troll Emperor's control over the demonic hand was, making it even harder for him to catch up. It's the bloodline of the Dark Demoness. The cursed Demon Emperor's eyes brightened, and his breathing quickened. If I were you, I wouldn't have any ideas about her. The Lord of Fear disdainfully glanced at the cursed Demon Emperor. You! The cursed Demon Emperor was enraged. However, when the Troll Emperor's gaze swept over, he immediately shut his mouth. The Troll Emperor's gaze was extremely vicious. As long as he said one more word, the latter would most likely tear him apart. Calming his surging emotions, the Troll Emperor coldly ordered, "Unseal the demonic power source with all your strength. I want to kill my way to true spirit continent in the shortest time possible." Yes. Numerous demon kings dove into the seabed, heading toward the center of the demonic power ripples. True spirit continent, falling dust sword sect, hum. A sky-rending sword hum soared into the sky. A beam of crimson sword chi shot out of the sword crafting peak like a soaring dragon, circling around the peak. Master's supreme grade sword is about to be completed. On the spirit cloud peak, Dongfang Bai's face lit up. What a frightening sword intent. Leng Xinghan could feel that this sword was different from other swords. This sword was like a god of death. Merely the sword intent it emitted had the bearing of slaughtering gods and demons. With Big Brother here, Elysium will surely defeat the foreign races. Yi Xian and the rest were full of confidence in Yi Chen. In the cave beneath the sword crafting peak, Yi Chen stretched out his palm and tightly grasped the hilt of the blood-red longsword. Hum! The blood-red longsword let out a long cry, and waves of frightening sword energy were emitted. It was as if he was not holding a sword, but a bloodthirsty creature. At the same time, Yi Chen's aura expanded uncontrollably. It's finally finished. Letting out a sigh of relief, Yi Chen's gaze sharpened. The supreme grade materials used for this sword were the best in Yi Chen's possession. Apart from the most basic star iron, there was also the Death Chi iron, the Blood Demon Emperor's Blood Demon Crystal, and the supreme grade Fire Cloud Stone essence from the Fire Emperor. Of course, the most precious was the Crimson Copper essence gifted to Yi Chen by the Spirit Pill King. The Crimson Copper essence was ranked second among the top 10 miraculous metals. It had the miraculous effect of fusing all metals into one. Whether it was the star power contained in the star iron, the Death Chi contained in the Death Chi iron, the Blood Demon power contained in the Blood Demon crystal, or the fire energy contained in the Fire Cloud Stone essence, they were all fused together by the Crimson Copper essence. There would not be a chaotic feeling of power, and they were completely fused together, turning into a completely new power. Yi Chen called it the Crimson Power. You've just been born after sensing the foreign race's aura. I'll call you the Demon Slaughtering Sword. The grade of the Demon Slaughtering Sword exceeded Yi Chen's expectations. Perhaps it was because the Crimson Copper essence was truly incredible, or perhaps it was because it was completed during the foreign race's great calamity, or perhaps it was because Yi Chen had imprinted the Destruction Sword intent into the Demon Slaughtering Sword every day. The grade of this sword had exceeded the peak of the Supreme Grade. It was impressively a Supreme Grade treasure sword. Chapter 1001. Generally speaking, low Supreme Grade artifacts were ordinary Supreme Grade artifacts, mid-Supreme Grade artifacts were relatively powerful, and high Supreme Grade artifacts were extremely famous. In the future, even if Yi Chen were no longer around, he and his sword would continue to be passed down, becoming a legend. Holding the Demon Slaughtering Sword in his hand, Yi Chen could feel his sword aura instantly increase. The Destruction Sword intent contained within the sword had even fused with his own. Although it still hadn't reached the 7th step, it had already reached the limit of the 6th step, pulling away from the Immortal Sword intent by a large margin. Pouring Jin Yuan into the sword, Yi Chen closed his eyes and entered the state of one with the sword, familiarizing himself with the sword's power. In the distance of the fallen dust sword sect, a black light streaked through the sky. Swish! In the blink of an eye, the black light was still very far away, but in the blink of an eye, it had already stopped outside the sect's great protective array. The light faded, revealing a tall and beautiful woman with the demonic wings on her back. Soundlessly, an opening appeared on the great protective array. The beautiful woman's brows twitched, and without making any movements, her figure flickered and entered. Qingqing, you're out. The first to arrive was the Demon Flower Emperor. Currently, all the demonic humans in the chaotic demon ocean were in the fallen dust sword sect. Yi Chen had given them 5 mountains. In any case, the fallen dust sword sect had 27 mountains, so there were still a lot to spare. Master. The beautiful woman was precisely Murong Qingcheng, who had been in seclusion for many years. Let me see. Impressive. You've actually reached the peak of the second sky of life and death realm, the same as Yi Chen. Worthy of the dark demoness bloodline. The demon flower emperor carefully sized up Murong Qingcheng, and a happy expression appeared on his face. Adding Murong Qingcheng, there were 3 people in Elysium who could condense a Dao gate. Xuanho's realm was a bit lower, at the peak of the first sky of life and death realm. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were both at the peak of the second sky. I also took advantage of a loophole. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to condense a Dao gate in Elysium. Murong Qingcheng was very clear that the reason she could condense the gate was not because of her talent, but because she had found a loophole. In the chaotic demonic seabed, the closer one got to the source of the demonic power fluctuations, the weaker the laws of true spirit world became. By the time she reached the source of the demonic power fluctuations, there were no longer any laws of true spirit world. Thus, she could break through to the peak of second layer life and death realm in one go. Of course, this was also thanks to her dark demoness bloodline. If it were the demonic flower emperor, she wouldn't dare approach the source of the demonic power fluctuations, fearing that she would be assimilated by the terrifying demonic power. Murong. A clear voice resounded. Murong Qingcheng's body stiffened, and she raised her head. Yi Chen, with 2 swords hanging on his left waist, flew over from Sword Forging Peak. The sect protecting array was opened by him, and the way he addressed her hadn't changed for so many years. Although Qingcheng called him more intimately, Murong represented the past, and also represented the difference between their relationship. Yi Chen. Murong Qingcheng's voice was somewhat trembling. The two had been separated for so many years. Many times, she had wanted to come out of seclusion to see him. However, thinking of the great calamity of the alien races, she knew that if she didn't have enough strength, she would only be a burden. Therefore, she had forcibly endured her yearning for the day when she could fight shoulder to shoulder with him, sharing life and death together. The long years, months, and days had not diluted her feelings. On the contrary, it had deeply branded Yi Chen's image in her soul. Murong Qingcheng's figure was very tall, and she had already reached the space between Yi Chen's eyebrows. Extending her hand, Yi Chen pulled her into his embrace and breathed in the fragrance of her hair. Nestled in Yi Chen's embrace, Murong Qingcheng felt very at ease. The dark witch bloodline that was still somewhat uncontrollable also seemed to have calmed down a lot. Cough, cough, cough. Demon Flower Emperor turned around and coughed a few times. Yi Chen let go of Murong Qingcheng and smiled. Senior Demon Flower Emperor, I and Murong haven't seen each other for many years, so I couldn't help myself. Please don't take offense. Demon Flower Emperor was a bit speechless. If not for the fact that she still had some matters to ask Murong Qingcheng, she might have immediately retreated to avoid the awkwardness. Clearing her throat, she said, Qingcheng, you said that the pure demonic power and demonic rules there are enough for you to advance to the third sky of life and death realm and come out early. Could it be? Murong Qingcheng said with a dignified expression, yes, the demons have come. The leading demons probably already have 7-star battle strength, and their demonic power is boundless. A casual attack from them gives me a feeling that I can't block it. Dark Witch bloodline was extraordinary. In terms of cultivation, she seemed to have an extremely frightening talent. Moreover, the source of the demonic power was boundless, and its purity was comparable to the third sky of life and death realm. Because of this, she dared to say that she had full confidence in cultivating to the third sky of life and death realm. Unfortunately, she was still a step too late and couldn't make another breakthrough. The demons have come. Yi Chen wasn't surprised. With his soul power, he had long since sensed the peculiar aura fluctuations of heaven and earth. Murong Qingqing was merely confirming it. As expected. Demon Flower Emperor faintly nodded. Chaotic demonic ocean was a blessed place for demons, allowing them to replenish their demonic power at a faster rate. The reason why they abandoned it was because the demonic human clan couldn't defend it. Moreover, since Yi Chen had taken control of Elysium, the demonic human clan already had a path of retreat. Otherwise, there would only be two outcomes if they stayed there. One was to betray Elysium and join the demons, and the other was to rather die than submit and be annihilated by the demons. Neither was what the Demon Flower Emperor wished to see. If my guess is not wrong, the ones attacking True Spirit Continent should be the demons. We have to take precautions and inform everyone. In the ancient era, there had only been one main battlefield, which was the undivided True Spirit Continent. But now, there were two battlefields, the True Spirit Continent and the Sky Sword Continent. The Blood Sky Continent had been abandoned a long time ago, since it was too weak to split its power into three parts. Compared to the True Spirit Continent, the Blood Sky Continent was still a lot weaker. However, the Sky Sword Continent had the Sky Sword, which gathered all of the sword chi in the world. Sword artists fighting there would have the home advantage. Of course, if the demons and evil spirit race wanted to join hands to attack a continent, it would be impossible. In order to prevent such a situation from happening, everyone had spent countless materials and supreme-grade spirit stones to build several large-scale teleportation arrays on the two continents, which could transport them over in a split second. Yi Chen faintly nodded and said, "Let me see how many demonic race troops there are." "Right, use your soul eyes." Demon Flower Emperor and Murong Qingqing looked at Yi Chen. Facing the direction of chaotic demonic ocean, Yi Chen's forehead suddenly split open, and a silver vertical eye appeared. In the next moment, countless phantoms appeared in Yi Chen's line of sight. As far as his eyes could see, there was a boundless ocean. Soon, Yi Chen saw a chaotic demonic ocean. "This is puppet battleships?" Yi Chen's expression was extremely solemn. In the sky above the chaotic demonic ocean, 400 puppet battleships were floating. These puppet battleships were hundreds of meters long, and according to the scale, each battleship could accommodate 5,000 to 6,000 people. Other than that, there were three figures outside the battleship that attracted Yi Chen's attention. One was a majestic middle-aged man who was more than 5 meters tall, and his aura was as terrifying as the ocean. The other was a bald-headed demon with a ferocious gaze, and the ferocious aura on them was almost tangible. Due to the special nature of the soul eyes, Yi Chen could even see countless figures struggling within the ferocious aura, as if they were ghosts that would never be reincarnated. They were mournful and fearful. The last one was a withered, yellow-haired, extremely ugly demon. When he smiled, he revealed a mouthful of uneven yellow teeth. Without any reason, Yi Chen felt enmity towards this person from the bottom of his heart. Although this person's aura was not as ferocious as the bald-headed demon's, his aura was extremely vicious. "What's wrong?" Demon Flower Emperor saw Yi Chen's ugly expression and asked. "Look." Yi Chen waved his hand. In the void, the power of space condensed, and a 5-colored light screen appeared. On the light screen, the scene Yi Chen saw appeared. 400 puppet battleships. This is really troublesome. Demon Flower Emperor sucked in a breath of cold air. Murong Qingqing's brows also couldn't help but crease. At that time, all her attention was on the Troll Emperor, so she didn't notice so many battleships. There's actually someone spying on us from so far away. In the chaotic demonic ocean, Cursed Demon Emperor sensed something and glanced in the direction of True Spirit Continent. Someone is spying on us. They should be using some kind of treasure, right? The Lord of Fear guessed. Humph. You're looking down on me, Cursed Demon Emperor. The Cursed Demon Emperor possessed curse power, so he was extremely sensitive to spying, and even more sensitive to hostility. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to live to this day unscathed. Evil haunting curse. Following the cursed demon emperor's incantation, an incorporeal curse aura dispersed in the void, following Yi Chen's gaze and returning to its source. In the falling dust sword sect millions of li away, Yi Chen's head swayed slightly, and his soul eye's operation was immediately interrupted. Sensing his aura, the five-colored light screen in the void shattered as well. The last scene was the cursed demon emperor's eyes filled with malice, piercing straight into the depths of one's soul. If an ordinary person saw this gaze, they would immediately die of fear. Life and death kings without a strong mental state would also have endless nightmares, and their mental state would be exhausted. However, no matter how powerful the gaze was, it was not as powerful as a direct curse. Right now, Yi Chen was cursed. On your body. Murong Qingchen was startled. In her vision, countless evil spirits drilled out of Yi Chen's body. These evil spirits seemed to have taken root in Yi Chen's body, wanting to devour his flesh and blood. Strangely, Murong Qingchen could see it, but the demon flower emperor couldn't. What a powerful curse power. Yi Chen activated the destruction sword intent and immortal sword intent, but it was hard to remove them. This curse power had already reached a certain level, and it was almost impossible to save the victim. Humph. Holding the demon slaughtering sword with his right hand, Yi Chen slightly pulled it out. Whoosh! A gust of wind rose as a frightening sword intent exploded from Yi Chen's body. The formless curse power was immediately shaken out, turning into nothingness. Chapter 1002. The curse is gone. The cursed demon emperor could clearly sense that he had lost control of the ghost haunt curse. Curses were illusory and untraceable. The only thing that could remove curses was martial will. Soul power attacks were useless. Of course, apart from martial will, there were also some special treasures that could remove curses. Do you know who it is? The Lord of Fear asked. It's Yi Chen, and there's a human demon with the Dark Witch's bloodline beside him. With the feedback of the curse power, the cursed demon emperor already knew who was spying on him. This demon can actually use my gaze as a channel to transmit the curse. Even with my destruction sword intent and immortal sword intent, it's difficult to remove it at once. Only by combining it with the sharp aura of the demon slayer sword can it be effective. Yi Chen's expression was very serious. He was not afraid of the opponent's curse, but it didn't mean that others were not. If the opponent was allowed to use it in a battle, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even if this kind of person's strength hadn't reached the 7-star level, his threat had already reached the 7-star level. Such a powerful curse. Although the demon flower emperor didn't see the image of the ghost haunt just now, he could sense that Yi Chen was filled with an ominous aura. Murong Qingchen frowned and said, although I don't really understand the principle of the curse, my Dark Witch's bloodline is very sensitive in this aspect. The way the curse spreads seems to be through telepathy. Yes and no. Yi Chen shook his head and said, telepathy is only an external phenomenon. To be more precise, curses are soul poisons that take root in the soul. There is a saying, believe it, don't believe it, don't have it. Once the curse takes root in the soul, your subconscious will believe it to be true, even if you say you don't believe it. As for the ways of transmission, there are many. As long as there is a slight connection, there is a chance of being cursed. For example, eye contact, body contact. Some people are cursed without even knowing it, but it will still be a horrifying disaster, because their souls have already sunk into it without them knowing. The human world was a big dye vat, and the soul was full of dust. One day, when the soul was crystal clear and free from the dust, there would be no disasters and the so-called curses would be nothing more than floating clouds. It was naturally impossible for Yi Chen's soul to reach this level, so he had to rely on his sword intent to expel it. This devil must be the first to die. Yi Chen's eyes flashed with a fiery killing intent. He was sure that if he didn't kill the cursed demon emperor first, Elysium would fall completely. I'll help you. Murong Qingcheng also felt that the threat of the cursed demon emperor was far greater than the other demons. The demon's invasion into Elysium was no longer a secret. All the astral reaching and above martial artists knew about it. Ocean gazing was a very small region on the border of eastern and southern regions. Nowadays, the ordinary people who had been living in ocean gazing for generations had all migrated away. Those who remained were basically astral reaching experts and Sea of Soul realm experts. Every day, a large number of astral reaching experts and Sea of Soul realm experts would rush over. The reason why so many astral reaching and Sea of Soul realm martial artists were gathered here was because this place would become a battlefield that would decide the future of Elysium. The true spirit continent was incomparably vast. If the demons wanted to take over the continent, they wouldn't be able to kill wherever they went. A mere 2 million army would be nothing more than a drop of water in the ocean. Even if they killed until the next year, they wouldn't be able to kill all the high-level martial artists of the continent. Therefore, as long as the continent decided to set the battlefield as the ocean gazing, the demons would definitely do so. Since the ancient times, the battles between Elysium and the alien races would always be set in one place. If one side was defeated, the battlefront would be stretched out until it covered the whole world. Lynch, let's see who can kill more demons this time. On top of a small hill in the ocean gazing, dozens of people were gathered. These people were from the Windy Nation, and they were not very old. Judging from their appearance, they didn't seem to be more than 30 years old. The one who spoke was Chen Haran from the Falling Dust Sword Master. His current cultivation had already reached the second level of life and death challenge. In the entire Windy Nation, besides the only life and death realm warrior, Yi Chen, there was only one other person who could compete with him, and that was North Snow Martial School's Lynch. If it is a battle, I might not be able to beat you. But, in terms of killing, you are not as good as me. Lynch said with his arms crossed in front of his chest. Hee, that might not be the case. Zhang Haran laughed. Hey, you two, don't treat us like we don't exist. After all, I used to be stronger than you two. Lu Hanshan, who was standing next to North Snow young Master Su Wan, said helplessly. You. How old are you? Why are you still fighting for this? Not far away, Zhu Mei, who was talking with a couple of women, teased her husband. The two had been married for many years. Even if they were to die, they would die together. There was no reason for them to risk their lives for others while they hid in a corner and tried to survive. Of course, there were people like that. But, these cowards would live in the shadows for the rest of their lives. They would lose their dignity and the essence of a martial artist. Brother Zhang, let's have a battle as well. Let's see if you can kill more Sea of Souls realm demons or I can kill more astral reaching realm demons. Yi Xian walked over with a smile on his face. Zhang Haran shook his head and said with a bit of worry, I really don't know why your brother would let you come. As a second-level life and death challenge warrior, Zhang Haran had the ability to protect himself, so he would not be killed in a short period of time. On the other hand, Yi Xian was only at early astral reaching realm, which could be considered as cannon fodder. Allowing Yi Xian to come would not be a big deal, but Yi Xiaoxiao had also come. This little girl had never killed anyone before, so she was very kind. Yi Xian said seriously, my brother said that without the determination to die, there is no hope of winning. Hearing him, everyone on the hill went silent. Indeed, since the demons dared to come, they must have a high chance of winning. If they did not have the determination to die, then they should not have come. They were just talking and laughing before to relieve the pressure. The determination to die. The former Emerald Prince, Zhuang Fei, raised his head and looked at the sky. Yi Chen, the little genius from back then, had left him behind since a long time ago. However, as time went by, he had matured and forgotten a lot of things. He believed that Yi Chen had forgotten him as well. Originally, they would not have any interaction in this life. However, this battle had connected them together, because they were both fighting for Elysium. Leader, why don't we also compete to see who can kill more people? On the side, the former Palm Absolute, Lu Wuxiang, smiled and said to Zhuang Fei. Sure. Zhuang Fei also smiled, his face glowing. Isn't that Sister Ji? Lu Wuxiang's gaze fell on the corner of the hill. There, a lonely figure was standing there. It was the former disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace, Ji Shuyan. She had left the Emerald Martial Palace a long time ago, and no one knew where she went. Don't disturb her. Perhaps, she just wants to see someone. Maybe, she just wants to free herself. Zhuang Fei shook his head, stopping Lu Wuxiang from going over to greet her. Smiling bitterly, Lu Wuxiang did not go over. Zhang Haoran, Luo Hanshan, Zhu Mei and the others also saw Ji Shuyan. They all knew about the things that happened between Yi Chen and Ji Shuyan. They could only sigh at the impermanence of the world. This child, after so many years, she is still alone. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing also came. Shen Yuqing's heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't help but walk over. Snow Goose. Shen Yuqing reached out his hand and gently held Ji Shuyan in his arms. Ji Shuyan didn't struggle, she said with a trembling voice, Aunt Qing. Good girl, I thought I would never see you again. Shen Yuqing couldn't help but shed tears. Raising her head, Ji Shuyan's eyes were wet. Don't you blame me? You are still young. Speaking of which, your mother and I are also at fault. We shouldn't have arranged the engagement between you and Chen Er. If we didn't do that, you and Chen Er might have ended up together instead. Back then, Shen Yuqing was indeed very angry. He felt that Yi Chen had been humiliated. However, as time went by, all that was left were the beautiful memories. Speaking of which, Ji Shuyan wasn't a bad person. She just did something inappropriate at the wrong time. There was no reason for her to carry that burden for the rest of her life because of one mistake. Aunt Qing, I have already thought it through. You don't have to worry about me. Ji Shuyan smiled. Her eyes were a little absent-minded. In her mind, images of Yi Chen kept appearing. She never knew that a 14 or 15-year-old boy could be so mature. In front of him, she was so childish. Perhaps it was because of this that she couldn't let go. It's good that you have thought it through. Everything is in the past. Now, let's fight for Elysium together. More and more high-level warriors gathered at the ocean-gazing region. Although they weren't gathered together, waves of powerful aura still caused the clouds in the sky to change. Many of Yi Chen's acquaintances had arrived. Tuo Baku, Li Daoxian, Bing Ling, Yan Qihua, Li Xiaoyun and Jing Aoshuan from the Southern Region Martial Tea Gathering, Hai Wuya from the Sky Martial Region, as well as some people who had grudges with Yi Chen, such as Xikongsheng. There were too many of them. They had witnessed Yi Chen's growth, and they had interacted with Yi Chen for a period of time. Whether it was grudges or hatred, everyone had temporarily forgotten about it. Right now, they were all fighting for Elysium, fighting for themselves. Buzz. In the sky, the figures of life and death kings started to appear. 1, 2, 3, more and more life and death kings appeared. Below, everyone's gazes couldn't help but fall on them. The final outcome of this battle would still be decided by the life and death kings. If the life and death kings of Elysium lost, then no matter how they struggled, they would not be able to escape the fate of being enslaved. Buzz. 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 Another 3 figures appeared, standing in front of all the life and death kings. The one in the middle seemed to have become the center of the world the moment he appeared, because everyone was paying attention to him. Even the life and death kings were no exception. He was very young, only in his early 20s. However, unknowingly, he had become the spiritual pillar of Elysium. His legendary glory made him have no choice but to shoulder the pressure of the entire world. He was Yi Chen. Chapter 1003. Yi Chen, I didn't expect that we would have the chance to fight side by side. Following Yi Chen's arrival, the kings of the younger generation appeared one after another. The one who spoke was a green-robed young man with a pair of sharp and narrow eyes and a hint of evilness. Lu Wujian, long time no see. Yi Chen smiled faintly. This person was none other than Lu Wujian of West Ocean Sword Sect. Of course, he was no longer West Ocean Sword Sect, but West Ocean Sword King. Unfortunately, Snow Sword of Gojoseon is in Sky Sword Continent. Otherwise, I'd like to see who is the second sword artist of this era. Lu Wujian had already given up on the idea of competing with Yi Chen. It was not because he had lost his fighting spirit, but because he felt that he was biting off more than he could chew. Whether it was Snow Sword of Gojoseon or Star Sword King, they were both stronger than him, not to mention Sword King Yi Chen, who was at the peak of his power. West Ocean Sword King, with your current strength, you are still quite lacking compared to Snow Sword of Gojoseon. In the distance, Chu Zhongtian flew over with a domineering aura and laughed heartily. Oh, so it's Celestial Dipper King. Lu Wujian turned his head and sized up Chu Zhongtian. The most famous person in Elysium right now was naturally Yi Chen. Below Yi Chen were the four kings of the new generation. These four kings were Dugu Blade King Dugu Ju, Snow Sword of Gojoseon Yi Shuihan, Celestial Dipper King Chu Zhongtian, and Bright Moon King Dan Tai Mingyue. Among them, Dugu Ju's title was the surname of Dugu clan. Yi Shuihan's Marquis Sword Snow had changed from Marquis to King. Chu Zhongtian's previous title was Astral Spirit Son, but he didn't like his king title being Astral Spirit King, so he changed it to Celestial Dipper King. As for Dan Tai Mingyue's title, she took her own name. The four kings weren't a collective name. They only represented the first tier's new generation kings. Below the four kings were the second tier's new generation kings. There were quite a few of them, such as Star Sword King Wei Tianchen, Sword Formation King Bu Qingyun, Blue Phoenix King Yan Fengfeng, White Snow King Bai Wuxia, Wild Goose Sword King Lu Xiaoyu, West Ocean Sword King Lu Wujian, Sky King Jiang Tian, Demonic Blade Queen Lan Sanmei, and so on. There were simply too many of them. The first tier only had 4, while the second tier had more than 30. As long as they were geniuses who had entered the life and death realm in recent years, they would all be in these two tiers. Celestial Dipper King Chu Zhongtian was someone Lu Wujian didn't put in his eyes at all. However, he didn't expect that the higher his realm, the more frightening his battle strength would be. From being inconspicuous at the beginning, he had now become one of the four kings. Perhaps only Elysium's unrivaled Yi Chen could compare to him. Well said. Chu Zhongtian's red hair was eye-catching like a blood-colored flame. Swish. Swish. Just as the two were talking, the white-haired Dugu Ju and the moon-white-gowned Dan Tai Mingyue arrived together. After entering the life and death realm, Dugu Ju was brimming with a frightening aura that kept strangers away. However, his eyes were clear and translucent, like a pair of blue waves. They were like a long and narrow blade that had just been washed in ice water, flickering with a cold light without any impurities. Anyone who came into contact with this cold light would immediately feel their soul being sliced apart. Dan Tai Mingyue, on the other hand, didn't have this kind of sharp aura. She was like the omnipresent moonlight, gentle and bright, not giving off any pressure. At the same time, no one could sense her specific location. It was as if she herself was condensed from moonlight and had no physical form. Dugu Ju, it seems like you've already made your preparations. Yi Chen glanced at the two of them. Naturally. This battle will be very bitter. Any one of us can die. I hope you won't be careless. Dugu Ju was very powerful, but compared to Chu Zhongtian, Dugu Ju was more likely to die. This was because Chu Zhongtian possessed the evil spirit body, which gave him an extremely powerful physical defense. His protective astral yuan was also not something ordinary people could break. Yi Chen didn't wish for Duguju to die in this battle, which would be a huge loss for Elysium. Many thanks for the reminder. Although I've already made up my mind to die, anyone who wants to kill me will have to pay with their lives. Duguju could sense Yi Chen's sincerity, and his expression softened somewhat. Next, Sky King Jiang Tian also came. Speaking of which, Jiang Tian and the Air Emperor all had some grudges with Yi Chen, but Yi Chen didn't care about it anymore. This was not only because of the impending battle, but also because there was no need to care about those small grudges, as long as they didn't provoke him in the future. Yi Chen, the woman standing with Auntie has been looking at you. Murong Qingcheng said to Yi Chen. I know. With Yi Chen's sensitivity to gazes, how could he not notice Ji Shuyan? The past is like smoke, gone with the wind. Do you want to know who she is? Yi Chen didn't tell her about this. I don't want to know. Murong Qingcheng smiled and shook her head. Let's hope she can survive. After thinking for a while, Yi Chen silently flicked his finger toward Ji Shuyan. A bean-sized blue crystal shot into Ji Shuyan's forehead at a speed that even his soul power couldn't detect. On top of the small mountain, Ji Shuyan seemed to be in a daze. She felt as if something had appeared in her mind, but nothing seemed to have happened. In the end, she thought it was because of the pressure. The size of the sea gazing was much smaller than the South Rudra region. It was no more than 2 million miles wide, which was equivalent to the size of a few big countries. As time passed, more and more high-level warriors gathered at the sea gazing. From hundreds of thousands, it had increased to nearly 1 million. It was a sea of people. Meanwhile, the number of life and death kings in the sky had also exceeded 500. On the true spirit continent, there were about 100 human kings alone. Adding the newly added human kings in the recent years, there were about 120 of them. The blood sky continent's human kings had been divided. A small portion had entered the sky sword continent, and the remaining 2/3 had arrived at the true spirit continent. As for the human kings from the ocean, there were about 50 of them. Altogether, there were about 200 of them. These were the human kings. The beast kings had more than 300 of them. More than 500 life and death kings and nearly 1 million astral reaching and sea of soul realm warriors were a frightening force. However, Yi Chen knew that compared to the demon race army, it was still too little. Each of the 400 puppet battleships could carry about 5,000 demons. Adding them together, it would be an army of 2 million, which was twice as much as the previous one. In the war between nations, it was not a myth to win with a small number. A sneak attack might be able to take out a large portion of the enemy's strength. However, in the war between high-level warriors, it was almost impossible to win with a small number. Trying to sneak attack would be suicide. Therefore, they could only fight fair and square, using blood to pave the way for their teammates. The young kings and the old kings all looked toward the southwest with a solemn expression. That was the direction the demon army would be coming from. 1 day passed, and no one had touched a drop of water. 2 days passed. 3 days passed. The 4th day, the first to arrive were not the demons, but 2 life and death kings. If the demons want to occupy the true spirit continent, they'll have to ask me, jailer, first. The aura of these 2 was incomparably powerful, much more powerful than even Su King. Master. Prison King's face revealed an ecstatic expression. This person was none other than the leader of the prison gate, jailer. He himself had also inherited jailer's legacy. At the same time, some very old life and death kings recognized the 2. Of these 2, the tall and sturdy old man was the once glorious figure of the prison gate, jailer, and the white-haired old man was the leader of the void gate, void ancestor. When they faded out of sight, it was said that they already had 6-star battle strength. Hundreds of years had passed, and their strength had not improved at all. Great! With the return of void ancestor and jailer, our overall strength has increased by a lot. Through word of mouth, everyone came to know the two's identity. Especially when they found out that these two already had 6-star battle power hundreds of years ago, they were all extremely excited. It should be known that among them, apart from Yi Chen, who was extremely unfathomable, there was almost no one with 6-star battle power. This was what made them feel the most despair. Now that they had two such powerful kings, how could they not be happy? 6-star battle strength? Yi Chen looked over. In fact, everyone knew that he was not the only one with 6-star battle strength. In the past few years, Xianhou had made enormous progress. Apart from spending some of her energy on seals, she spent most of her energy on increasing her strength. Adding her realm, which had reached the peak of the first layer of life and death realm, her battle strength had already reached 6-star. Apart from that, Murong Qingcheng, who had reached the peak of the second layer of life and death realm and had the bloodline of Dark Witch, also had 6-star battle strength. This point had been personally verified by Yi Chen. Moreover, Yi Chen didn't believe that Su King hadn't made any progress in the past few years. In a few years, Yi Chen's strength could increase by more than 10 times. For Su King to increase by 2 or 3 times wouldn't be surprising. As for the other titled monarchs with high-grade 5-star battle strength, they should also have close to 6-star battle strength. Yi Chen didn't know the exact strength of Duguju, Chu Zhongtian, and Dan Tai Mingyue. However, from the strength they had displayed recently, he could tell that they were all high-grade 5-star battle strength. After all, they had been in life and death realm for a year or two. When Yi Chen entered life and death realm, he was able to defeat Su King within a year. These people's talent was only slightly inferior to his. Moreover, they were all preparing for a great battle. You're Yi Chen. Void Ancestor sized up Yi Chen at the front. Not bad. Yi Chen faintly nodded. Very good. There's finally a peerless character among the younger generation. There's still hope for this war. Void Ancestor was the previous generation's Void Sect Master, and his eyesight was extremely sharp. However, he couldn't see through Yi Chen. This meant that the latter's strength was not inferior to his, and might even surpass him. This kid can't be underestimated. Jailer also noticed that Yi Chen was different from the masses. From the fact that he could stand at the front without anyone questioning him, it was clear that everyone was convinced of his strength. This girl doesn't seem simple. Shifting their attention from Yi Chen, their gazes fell on Murong Qingcheng. Just as they were about to speak, a layer of black suddenly appeared in the horizon. It was a huge puppet battleship. As the puppet battleship appeared, a suffocating aura swept over. Chapter 1004. The demons are here. The battle had yet to begin, but a horrifying aura had already filled the air. Everyone knew that this battle was unavoidable. For the safety of their families, for the independence of Elysium, and for their descendants to not be enslaved, they could only fight. If they did, they would become sinners. In their ears, they seemed to hear the screams of their descendants. This made their hearts tighten, and their eyes turn red. Fight to the death. It was unknown who was the first to yell. Fight to the death. Fight to the death. Roars of anger rang out one after another until everyone was yelling in unison. The roar of millions of high-level warriors tore apart the astonishing sky, the extreme void, and even the zenith sky started to shake. For a moment, silver lightning streaked across the sky. Hurricanes, snow, burning clouds, torrential rain. All sorts of phenomena appeared in the sky of the endless ocean. It was as if even the heavens were angry. The horrifying aura did not scare off the demon army. The huge black battleships continued to advance at a constant speed, eventually stopping at the edge of the endless ocean. Swoosh! 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 The cabin doors opened, and figures flew out one after another. Among these figures, the shortest one was close to 3 meters tall, and some were more than 5 meters tall. There were even some that were more than 100 meters tall. They were not ordinary demons, but demon kings who had stepped into the life and death realm. As for their numbers, they were close to 1,000. Nearly 1,000 demon kings appeared in front of the battleships, led by 3 demons with the most powerful aura. Ping! Suddenly, a huge rhombus-shaped crystal was thrown down, creating a crater on the ground. It was a black rhombus-shaped crystal that was as big as a small island. Both sides of the crystal were wrapped in bronze metal, and the surface of the metal was engraved with countless patterns. Each time it flickered, a huge amount of demonic power would be released. After being diluted, the demonic power would turn into dense demonic chi. Almost in the blink of an eye, the surrounding 100 li had been corroded by the demonic chi. Although one could still see, it had become dark and gloomy, and even sunlight could not shine in. It was like an extremely gloomy sky that was rarely seen in 100 years. However, it was even more gloomy than a gloomy sky. Apart from demonic chi, no other natural yuan chi could exist inside. This is Yi Chen, Murong Qingcheng, and the demon flower emperor narrowed their eyes. This black rhombus-shaped crystal was obviously something from the depths of the Chaos Demon Sea. They didn't expect that the other party would actually bring it over. This was turning the ocean gazing into their home field. It's really dangerous this time. The Demon Flower Emperor said word by word. Regardless of whether we have it or not, this war will be extremely dangerous. It can be said that there is only a slim chance of survival. We can only fight to the death. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen calmed down. The others also noticed the black diamond-shaped crystal and the strange phenomenon caused by the crystal. They had a bad feeling in their hearts. They didn't think that the demons would do anything that wasn't good for them. Judging from the effect of the black diamond-shaped crystal, this thing would definitely allow the demons to recover their magic power faster, and they wouldn't run out of magic power. Of course, even though they had a bad premonition in their hearts, no one retreated. Before they came, they were already prepared to die. The appearance of the black rhombus-shaped crystal not only made them feel bitter in their hearts, but it also aroused their unyielding fighting spirit. It's really interesting. I actually don't feel the slightest bit of fear. The Lord of Fear was very sensitive to the fear in people's hearts. However, what surprised him was that these people didn't show any fear, as if they already had nothing to fear. This is just on the surface. When we display our overwhelming strength, they will know what fear is. The cursed demon emperor chuckled and looked around. Soon, his eyes lit up. There were actually so many beauties with extraordinary temperaments among the true spirit kings. Not to mention the human demon with the dark witch's bloodline, there was also the white-clothed Xianhou and the demon flower emperor with the flower demon's bloodline. There were also many others that he hadn't heard of. For example, standing next to the white-haired young man was a woman in a white gown with an ethereal temperament. Standing next to Xianhou was a green-clothed woman who was as noble as a phoenix, and there was also a blue-clothed woman standing next to the black-clothed middle-aged man. All of them were stunning beauties, and they weren't inferior to his previous confidants. In fact, they might even be superior. It wasn't in vain that I was sealed for tens of thousands of years. They really treated me well. The cursed demon emperor licked his lips and had a ferocious look on his face. Standing at the front of the crowd, Yi Chen focused his gaze on the troll emperor and said, "The demons have been spying on Elysium for many years. War after war, they haven't been able to defeat Elysium. This time will be no exception. If your excellency doesn't wish for the demons to suffer heavy casualties, I advise you to leave Elysium now. Otherwise, we won't rest until one of us is dead." This sentence was superfluous, but Yi Chen had to say it. First, it was to show the other party the determination of Elysium. Second, it was to tell the other party that even if they wanted to conquer Elysium, they would have to pay a heavy price. Won't rest until one of us is dead. Indeed, after this war, the demons will definitely suffer losses. However, I believe that compared to obtaining the whole of Elysium, paying a small price is worth it. After all, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. The Troll Emperor smiled and changed his tone. With an oppressive tone, he said, "This time, we, the demons, have mobilized 1,000 demon kings and 2 million demon army. If you think that you can make us hesitate with just a few words, then you are gravely mistaken. If you don't want to die without a complete corpse and ignite the whole of Elysium in the flames of war, surrender. Those who surrender will not be killed. Those who surrender will not be killed." The last sentence, the Troll Emperor roared out with his thick demonic energy. His majestic voice was like a tsunami, blowing away the lightning, hurricanes, snow, and fire clouds in the sky, as well as the torrential rain. The sky cleared up. Intense demonic energy surged over, gloomy and murderous. In Elysium, there are only kings who die in battle. There are no kings who surrender. The two elders, Void Ancestor and Jailer, took a step forward and roared together. Rumble. Merely the sound of the collision was enough to create an apocalyptic scene between the two armies. The space was like a spider web, cracking open one after another. "Very well, then all of you will die." The cursed demon emperor chuckled strangely. His laughter was like a demonic sound, penetrating through every nook and cranny. Behind the numerous demons, a black flood surged out from the puppet battleships. This was the army of demons. The lowest cultivation base was mid-astral reaching realm, and there was not a single early astral reaching realm. In other words, if not for the suppression of Elysium's rules, the lowest cultivation base of these people would be late astral reaching realm. It should be known that some of the Elysium martial artists who had come to the ocean gazing had just stepped into the astral reaching realm. As for why they didn't directly attack with the puppet battleships, it was mainly because the puppet battleship's main purpose was not to fight, but to transport. Although each puppet battleship could actually fight against several ordinary life and death kings, there were so many kings present. As long as a powerful titled monarch made a few moves, they would be able to destroy a large number of puppet battleships. This kind of loss was not something the demons wanted to bear. In any case, with their current strength, they were already able to suppress Elysium. There was really no need for them to waste the astonishingly valuable puppet battleships. Raising his right arm high, the Troll Emperor fiercely swung down, kill. Clang. At the same time, Yi Chen had already pulled out the demon slaughtering sword. The crimson sword flickered with a blood light that could make one's heart palpitate. It dyed the sky blood red, and the demonic chi was annihilated. Pointing the demon slaughtering sword forward, Yi Chen also roared, "Fight!" Bang! The sky shattered, and the kings of both sides rushed out like two black clouds colliding. The aura was so frightening that it couldn't be described with words. It was like the scene of doomsday. No. Before the two sides even reached each other, the cursed demon emperor's eyes widened, and he fell from the sky with lifeless eyes. His life aura was completely gone, and he died instantly. Damn it! The Troll Emperor's eyes were filled with extreme anger. The two sides had unexpectedly joined hands to use a soul attack, instantly annihilating the soul of the cursed demon emperor. Success! Yi Chen heaved a sigh of relief. The cursed demon emperor was an expert in curses, and even his magic was cursed magic, which was a great threat. Therefore, before this, Yi Chen had already discussed with everyone, and let those who knew how to use soul attacks to attack together, annihilate the cursed demon emperor's soul. Although not all the kings of Elysium had practiced soul attack secret techniques, among the 500 people, there were still dozens of them. If dozens of people joined hands to attack, not to mention the cursed demon emperor, even Yi Chen would die without a doubt. This was the terror and ruthlessness of war. Being strong could not guarantee one's own safety, and it would only make one's life easier. Of course, soul attacks consumed a lot of soul power. They could still use it once, but if they used it again, everyone's condition would decline. Only Yi Chen, who had a strong soul power, could use it multiple times. Therefore, killing the cursed demon emperor had to be done in one go. As soon as the cursed demon emperor died, the troll emperor and the lord of fear emitted an astonishing murderous intent. Demons were not good at studying the soul, so among them, only 1 in 10,000 knew how to use soul attacks. However, demons were born with strong soul defense, and in a one-on-one situation, it was impossible to annihilate their souls. They did not expect that the other side would target the cursed demon emperor, and conversely, if the other side targeted them, they would definitely die. The duration of a soul attack was extremely short, and there was no time to use it a second time. As soon as the cursed demon emperor died, the two sides collided. Ah! 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 What kind of scene was this? In just the first collision, dozens of people turned into blood mist, dying miserably on the spot. Among them were demons and Elysiums. Demons did not even lose 10 people, while Elysium lost more than 20 people. These 20 people were not ordinary martial artists, but genuine life and death kings. Normally, they could call the wind and summon the rain, enjoying great glory. But now, they were being harvested like rice straws. The cruelty of war appeared in everyone's mind for the first time. Chapter 1005. Swish. Swish. Blood-colored sword-light crisscrossed as Yi Chen, who was using derailment steps, shuttled through the crowd of demon kings like a ghost. With each step, a blood-colored sword light blossomed. The weaker demon kings were directly slashed into a blood mist, dying on the spot. The stronger demon kings were also cleaved into two, their cultivation base greatly damaged. Apart from Yi Chen, Void Ancestor, Prison Ancestor, Mysterious Queen, and Murong Qingqing had also killed a lot of demon kings. Void Ancestor's Void Palm was several times more powerful than Void Emperor's. With a slap, a demon king in front of him immediately turned into ashes, leaving not a trace behind. Prison Ancestor's punishment martial skill was strange and tyrannical. With a swipe of his hand, the demon king charging at him could only let out a miserable shriek before being cut into pieces. As for Mysterious Queen, her snow-filling universe had already reached perfection. Extreme freezing chi erupted, freezing dozens of meters tall demon kings into ice sculptures. As her figure passed through, the ice sculptures shattered into millions of pieces, creating an icy rain. Murong Qingqing, this rising star of the younger generation, wasn't much inferior to them. The demonic wings on her back provided her with a frightening mobility. Her figure flickered. One moment, she was still here, and the next, she was already in another place. The demon king fighting her didn't even know who the opponent was before his body exploded and he died. However, although there were many powerful kings on Elysium's side, there were even more powerful kings on the side of the demons. Not to mention the two demon emperors, the troll emperor and the lord of fear, there were more than 10 other demon kings comparable to heavenly evil demons. Just like the former two, they had been sealed in Elysium for a long time. Their true cultivation base was at the 6th layer of life and death realm. After being suppressed by 2 layers, they were at the 4th layer, which was equivalent to the 6-star battle strength of Elysium. Like a bulldozer, the 2 demon emperors and dozens of heavenly evil demon kings charged forward like a hot knife through butter. Wherever they went, the kings of Elysium were turned into blood mists, leaving not even their bones behind. Kill. The red-haired Chu Zhongtian seemed to have gone berserk. He didn't dodge or evade, and instead exchanged punches with the 2 demon kings in front of him. It was a battle of life for life. Eventually, relying on his unusual protective astral yuan and evil spirit body, he blew up the 2 demon kings. As for himself, half of his head had caved in, and a large chunk of flesh had been torn out of his chest. Duguju's situation was even worse than Chu Zhongtian's. His opponents were 3 demon kings, and one of them was not much weaker than him. Fighting 1 against 3, Duguju was pushed back again and again. The wounds on his body kept increasing, and his undying body didn't even have enough time to recover. Ha! Duguju, don't you die so early. A long spear suddenly stabbed out, nailing into a demon king's head. It was Bai Minghui. Although he was laughing, tears were streaming down his face. Just a second ago, his grandfather had been torn into pieces by two demon kings in order to save him. Before he died, he had even dragged another demon king down with him. Bai Minghui's anger had made him explode continuously. After killing the last demon king, he saw that Duguju was in danger, so he didn't care that he only had half of his body left. He rushed over and stabbed his spear through his opponent's head. Boom! With only half of his body left, he was simply too weak, and was turned into a blood mist by a demon king who was passing by. You have to live. Kill these sons of bitches. Bai Minghui's voice disappeared. Ah! Duguju roared into the sky as blue veins popped out on his forehead like small snakes. The white hair on his head started to dance in the air as well. The anger and the extreme madness had pushed him to explode with even more potential. He combined with his blade and drilled into a demon king's chest before coming out from the back. Blood splashed everywhere. My life no longer belongs to me anymore. The pain on Duguju's face was hidden deep down, and all that was left was killing. The battle taking place in the sky left everyone on the ground in shock and grief. Too many of them had died. They had been the most respected existences in Elysium, the kings of men and the kings of demons. For Elysium, for their children and grandchildren, they had no complaints, and they had never retreated. Even if they died, they would drag their opponents down with them. The demon army surged forward like a tidal wave, boundless like a swarm of locusts. If 1,000 demon army and 500 Elysium kings were like two dark clouds colliding, then the charge of 2 million demon army and 1 million Elysium army was like two oceans colliding. The ground was shaking, the wind was howling, and lightning was flying everywhere. It was a scene of doomsday. Kill! The two sides quickly approached each other, and the army at the very front had already started fighting across the sky. The whistling force was like 10,000 arrows being shot at the same time, and it was also like a storm was approaching. Bang 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 bang, chi explosion sounds resounded in the sky as countless black dots fell down. Each black dot represented the loss of a life. At this moment, human lives were like grass. Finally, the two armies collided. Blood flowed like a river, and blood surged into the sky. Die! A huge lizard shadow appeared behind Tuobaku's back. It waved its tail, and a couple of demons were blown away. With a swipe of its claw, another couple of demons were dismembered. There were a lot of strangers fighting alongside him, but there were also a lot of people he was familiar with, such as the geniuses from the Hidden Dragon rank, and the friends he had made over the years. Each of them had forgotten everything, and only had the demons in their eyes. Besides the human race, the demi-demon race, the demi-beast race, and the demi-beast race had also joined the battle. They could all transform into human form, which was the benefit of the Blood Sky Land's shape-shifting pellet. The pellet not only allowed them to transform into human form, but also gave them intelligence that was not inferior to humans, which made them willing to fight for the Elysium. Unfortunately, they were only a small part of the demi-beast race. There were even more demi-beasts scattered around the world. Apart from some of them with extremely high potential, most of them did not have enough intelligence. They only fought for their own territories, and did not know what the Elysium was, or what it meant when the nest was overturned, there would be no eggs left intact. Huh, too weak, too weak. Even if we are being suppressed by the Elysium, one of us can still fight against 10 of them. A demon with demonic bloodline grabbed a human astral reaching realm warrior and bit him hard. Bastard! A couple of astral reaching realm warriors with red eyes rushed up, wanting to avenge their comrades. Overestimating yourselves. The demon threw out the dead body of the astral reaching realm warrior. Boom! The body exploded in the air, turning into countless blood arrows. A couple of astral-reaching realm warriors who had rushed up were pierced by the blood arrows, dying on the spot. Shoo! All of a sudden, a beam of sword light pierced through the demon's forehead. It was Ling Xinghan who had attacked. His eyes were extremely cold. After killing the demon, he did not even look at it, as he went to look for another opponent. Xiao Xiao, don't be afraid. They are all bastards. What is there to be afraid of? After killing a demon, Yi Xian turned his head and said to Yi Xiao Xiao, who had a pale face. Second brother, be careful. Just as Yi Xian turned around, a demon charged over, a huge axe attacking toward his head. Seeing that the axe was about to fall, Yi Xiao Xiao suddenly stomped on the ground with her feet, turning into a beam of light and shooting out. Dang! The axe was blown away, and Yi Xiao Xiao flew back with blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. Yi Xian, who had just reacted, shook his wrist, and countless sword flowers covered the opponent. The next second, this sneak-attacking demon fell down with blood all over his body. Good job. Yi Xian gave Yi Xiao Xiao a thumbs up, feeling a lingering fear. The battle had only been going on for a while, but Elysium had already lost nearly 100 life and death kings. The losses of the demons were also unexpectedly high, reaching more than 60. Many of them had been killed by the kings of Elysium. Yi Chen alone had killed more than a dozen demon kings. In such a chaotic scene, being powerful didn't mean that one could kill a lot of enemies. After all, as one attacked an enemy, there would be even more enemies attacking one. If not for Yi Chen's extremely powerful soul power, which allowed him to multitask, and if not for his quick reaction, which allowed him to dodge in time, he would have been injured by now. As time passed, the number of casualties started to decrease. The main reason was that the situation was not that chaotic anymore. Everyone was far away from each other, so they would not get involved. With a glance, Yi Chen noticed the Troll Emperor. His opponent was actually Murong Qingcheng. With the demon wings, although Murong Qingcheng would not be captured immediately, she would still be in danger. Leave him to me. His body shifting in the void, Yi Chen appeared in front of Murong Qingcheng and said. All right. Murong Qingcheng also did not hesitate. With a flap of the demon wings, she instantly disappeared from her spot. Courting death. Just as he was about to capture Murong Qingcheng, Yi Chen ruined his plan, the Troll Emperor roared. His fist seemed like it had been compressed by 10 huge mountains. With one punch, everything in the world flowed in reverse. Even the spatial power could not bear this fist aura. Countless spatial fragments shot toward Yi Chen like multicolored streamers. Yi Chen shuttled through the multicolored streamers like a hot knife through butter. These streamers were shattered by a layer of golden light when they were just a meter away from Yi Chen. The golden light was emitting from the demon slaughtering sword in Yi Chen's hand. Unknowingly, the sword had enlarged by several times, turning into a huge golden sword. The huge golden sword was unstoppable. Just the sword aura alone was enough to form a frightening golden light. Boom! The fist and the huge golden sword collided, and a huge black hole appeared between the two. The power spread to the depths of the void, like a volcanic eruption. Puff! Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Yi Chen was sent flying. As expected, he has 7-star combat power. Yi Chen instantly judged his opponent's combat power. He actually managed to block it. Although the Troll Emperor did not spit out blood, he still took dozens of steps back. His fist felt numb. Yi Chen's sword had a strong vibrational power, making his right arm feel a little weak. His eyes were extremely sharp. Yi Chen knew that his opponent this time was not the same as before. If he did not use all his strength, it was very likely that he would die. It should be known that the sword just now was not an ordinary sword technique, but the third style of the vibrational sword art, the Sky Absolute Sword. Previously, the Sky Absolute Sword had only been integrated with the Profound of Earth. Now, it had been perfectly integrated, becoming a top profound sword technique. Chapter 1006. Very good. I finally found an opponent who can barely fight me. Killing those ants is too boring. In a short period of time, the Troll Emperor had killed 15 kings of Elysium. If not for Murong Qingqing attracting his attention, this number would have been much higher. To him, those who couldn't block one of his punches were ants. Although killing ants was easy, killing too many of them wouldn't satisfy him. If he wanted to kill, he wanted to kill a peerless figure like Yi Chen. Killing one Yi Chen was more useful than killing 10 or 20 ordinary kings. He might even be able to destroy the faith of the people of Elysium. Killing ants like demons is also very boring. After killing you, this war should end faster. Yi Chen's thoughts were the same as the Troll Emperor's. In a battlefield, the role of a general was extremely important. Not only was he the commander, but he was also the spiritual pillar of the soldiers. If the general died, the morale would definitely be greatly affected. Kill me? What a joke. I want to see how you will kill me. The Troll Emperor laughed loudly. His undying body was at the blood rebirth realm, and his magical power was boundless. Even if an ordinary person killed him 10 times, he would be able to recover again. Although his current strength hadn't recovered to the peak of the past and was only at the early stage of 7-star, even a middle stage 7-star wouldn't be able to kill him. In fact, they would be tortured to death by him. Take my troll-killing fist. While his laughter was still echoing, the Troll Emperor had already charged over and punched. The pitch-black fist filled the sky and rapidly enlarged in Yi Chen's eyes. I haven't figured out his strength yet. It's better not to use Instant of Glory for now. Instant of Glory was Yi Chen's greatest trump card. In the past 2 years, Yi Chen had made great progress in Instant of Glory. However, if he revealed his trump card in advance, it would only make his opponent vigilant. Either he didn't use Instant of Glory, or once he used it, he had to obtain sufficient results. After all, with his opponent's strength, Instant of Glory wouldn't be able to kill him instantly. Pop! His body lightly leaped up, and the demon slaughtering sword in his hand slashed from bottom to top, left to right. This slash was like a dream. As the sword edge streaked across the sky, the space rippled like water. At the same time, the tip of the demon slaughtering sword suddenly lit up, creating a golden water ripple in the void. The water rippled and welcomed the pitch-black fist. The fourth move of the Autumn Water Sword technique, Autumn Water. Rumble. The power of the Troll Emperor's fist was unstoppable, but this water-like sword chi was not only flexible and condensed, but it was also indestructible. It gathered the essence of the metal and water attributes and effectively fused them together. On the pitch-black fist, countless golden splashes exploded, and each splash was not inferior to a cut of sword chi. While Yi Chen and the Troll Emperor were fighting, the others had also found their opponents. The Void Ancestor's opponent was another Demon Emperor level character, the Lord of Fear. Although the Lord of Fear's strength was not as good as the Troll Emperor, he still had the battle power of a 6-star overlord. The Void Ancestor fought with him for dozens of rounds, and was immediately beaten to the point of vomiting blood and being battered. Invincible Void Battle Technique. With a low roar, the aura of the Void Ancestor skyrocketed, as if he had eaten a great tonic. Secret Battle Technique. The Lord of Fear didn't think much of it. The opponent's strength was much lower than his. Even if he used a secret battle technique, it would be no more than a cornered beast struggle. Unless the opponent used a peak-level secret battle technique, only then could it pose a threat to the Lord of Fear. Clearly, peak-level secret battle techniques were not cabbages. Moreover, they were extremely difficult to cultivate. Out of 100 people, there might not even be one who could successfully cultivate it. As a 6-star king at the same level as the Void Ancestor, Jailer was fighting 2 4th-layer life and death realm demon kings, which were 6-star devils. It was not that he was being arrogant, but that he had no other choice. If he didn't hold up one more kings of Elysium would die. At that time, the gap in numbers would grow larger and larger, and he would no longer be facing 1 or 2 enemies, but 3, 5, or even 10. In fact, he wasn't the only one doing this. The others were doing the same. For example, Murong Qingcheng, relying on the flexibility of her demon wings, was holding up 3 6-star devils by herself, while Xianhou was holding up 2. Su Qing's strength was barely at the 6-star level, but he was also holding up a 6-star devil that was stronger than him. Even with his 6th-step spirit body, he was still being beaten miserably, and could only rely on the space profound to continuously evade and counterattack. Even so, the 4 of them were only holding up 8 6-star devils. There were still a few that were still wantonly slaughtering. Nobody could stop them. Space Realm. At the crucial moment, the Air Emperor stood up and used his space profound to trap a 6-star devil. His battle strength was not much weaker than Su Qing's, so he could hold on for a while. But, if the battle dragged on, he would die without a doubt. This was all thanks to his research on Space Profound, which focused on sealing and trapping. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to hold on for a while. I, Chu Zhongtian, will fight you. Seeing the number of life and death kings on his side decreasing rapidly, Chu Zhongtian roared and charged at a 6-star devil by himself. Courting death. This 6-star devil was an old demon with pitch-black scales all over his body. He had seen Chu Zhongtian's previous battle and knew that he was several times weaker than him. Rip. A right claw flickering with a cold light suddenly waved out. The old demons instantly broke through Chu Zhongtian's protective astral yuan and left a deep claw mark on his body. Too weak. A few ribs appeared in the old demon's hand, which belonged to Chu Zhongtian. Puff. Chu Zhongtian spurted out a huge amount of blood, along with pieces of his internal organs. Die. The old demon's body art was extremely fast. Like a ghost, he flickered around Chu Zhongtian's surroundings. Chu Zhongtian's attacks were all dodged by him. All of a sudden, a puff sound was heard as Chu Zhongtian's chest was pierced through. The old demon's 2-meter-long right arm pierced through Chu Zhongtian's back, holding a heart. If we die, let's die together. Chu Zhongtian tightly locked onto the old demon's arm as a dark red crystal light erupted from his body. It was a sign of self-detonation. It was unknown where he had learned this self-detonation secret art from. You die, but I won't die. The old demon's right arm suddenly shook, and countless bloody holes appeared on Chu Zhongtian's body. Blood splashed out, and the dark red crystal light flickered before disappearing. As for Chu Zhongtian's body, his flesh had been destroyed to the point that he couldn't even self-detonate. His Shen Yuan was in chaos. Swish. At this moment, a sharp sword pierced through the old demon's chest. The next moment, the old demon's exploded into a blood mist, and half of it was minced into nothingness. Looking at where the sword had come from, the source was actually Yi Chen. Yi Chen's direct opponent seemed to be the Troll Emperor alone, but in fact, he had been multitasking. While fighting with the Troll Emperor, he had been using the defensive sword art to attack the nearby demon kings. That sword just now was not the Earth Fiend sword art, but the 9 return to 1 sword art, which was even more exquisite than the Earth Fiend sword art. The 9 return to 1 sword art required the defensive sword art to reach the level of 81 swords at the same time, and the power of the 81 swords was concentrated on 1 sword. Although the Earth Fiend sword art could also reach this level after absorbing enough Earth Essence evil chi, it still needed time to accumulate. The 9 return to 1 sword art did not have this weakness. Of course, the main reason why the old demons could be heavily injured with 1 sword was because Chu Zhongtian had locked onto him in an instant. Otherwise, the old demons could have blocked a little, and his body would not have exploded. Leave the 6-star devil to me. Don't die so soon. Yi Chen's voice came from the flying sword. Thank you. The injuries on Chu Zhongtian's body had already healed. After swallowing a pill, he immediately flashed away from the place. Damn it! The blood mist gathered again as the old demon man opened his mouth and roared. This sword attack contained an extremely powerful destruction sword intent. He could feel that every bit of his flesh and blood was being destroyed by the destruction sword intent. Right now, his power had dropped by more than 30%, and half of his energy was used to expel the destruction sword intent. The sharp sword turned around and attacked the old demons again. Peng peng peng, the old demons, who had lost a lot of strength, was being attacked by the sharp sword. He dodged everywhere, but the sword marks on his body were still increasing, making him look like a bloody man. You dare to split your attention in front of me? The Troll Emperor's attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Any of his punches could kill a normal 6-star king. All of a sudden, the fist shadows were like mountains, whistling towards Yi Chen. Moment of glory. Yi Chen did not dare to be hit by so many fist shadows. With the opponent's strength, he could easily injure him in an instant. With the demon-slaying sword in hand, Yi Chen flew up and rushed towards the opponent. The next second, the tip of the demon-slaying sword shone with a bright light. This light was like the moment when a star exploded, and everything was forcefully frozen. The Troll Emperor only had time to say one sentence before he could not move anymore. Right now, the moment of glory was not the same as before. Its range had reached hundreds of meters, and everything within that range was frozen. Even the fierce fist shadows were frozen in the air. Chi! The demon-slaying sword touched the center of the Troll Emperor's eyebrows, and after a slight resistance, it pierced through. Boom! A strong light exploded, and the Troll Emperor's head exploded into pieces. However, what made Yi Chen's heart heavy was that this sword had only destroyed the Troll Emperor's head, and it did not affect other parts of his body. This meant that the opponent's magic power and physical strength had reached an unimaginable level. Die! The Troll Emperor woke up a moment earlier than Yi Chen had expected. Although he did not have a head, his voice still came out, and his fist landed on Yi Chen's chest. Puff! His body shattered, and Yi Chen's entire body turned into a bloody mist that spread out in a fan shape. Yi Chen! Murong Qingqing screamed. Yi Chen had not reached the realm of blood rebirth, and being turned into a bloody mist with one punch meant that he would definitely die. As if she had gone crazy, Murong Qingqing rushed in that direction, but in that moment of distraction, the 3 6-star devil that she had entangled with attacked her body together. In the distance, Xuanho's face was pale, without a trace of blood. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing were facing a disaster at the same time. Was Elysium really going to fall? Chapter 1007. Yi Chen is dead. It was not only Xianhou who had noticed this scene. Besides Xianhou, the other life and death realm warriors who were battling with the demons seemed to have sensed something as well, looking over from afar. Although they were very far away, and logically speaking, the commotion here should not have caught their attention. But, they still looked over. Using their soul power, they saw the Troll Emperor and the blood mist in front of the Troll Emperor. He is dead. What should we do? He is a peerless martial genius, a legend of this era. How can he die? Everyone was screaming in their minds. They were not afraid of sacrificing themselves, and they were not afraid of death. At the critical moment, they could die together with the demons. But, they were afraid of not seeing hope, of not seeing the dawn of victory. Chen Big brother. Yi Tianhao, Shen Yuqing, and Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao, who were battling, felt a pain in their hearts. It was as if they had lost something, as if the most important thing was leaving them. All of a sudden, a roar resounded through the sky. Yi Chen, I know you are not dead yet, and no one can kill you. Even if you are dead, you better come back to life. Otherwise, how can you step on my Duguju's head? You are a person destined to be glorious. Duguju's eyes shone with a horrifying light, and blue veins popped out on his face. With each blade attack, he would roar out. Each blade attack was heavier and fiercer than the previous one. His opponents, the two demons, were shocked. Duguju had reached his limit and broken it at the same time. They could barely handle the first blade attack, but the second one, they had no choice but to back out. The third one, their bodies started to be dyed with blood. It seemed like something had happened that had made him extremely angry. Am I dead? Is this all I can do? The murmuring voice reverberated in the surreal space. At first, it was very weak, like the sound of wind. The Troll Emperor's pupils shrank. Using his soul power to sense, he was sure that every inch of Yi Chen's flesh and blood had been smashed by him, turning into a thin blood mist. Even that indestructible armor didn't have a single bit of flesh and blood, only blood. So where did this sound come from? I'm not dead yet. Even if I die, I will crawl out of hell and return to the human world. Immortal sword intent, rebuild my body. The weak voice became extremely powerful. In the end, it resonated with space. An undying and inextinguishable radiance blossomed, pervading the bloody mist. Hua! The blood mist gathered again, and a figure condensed. Great! Murong Qingqing didn't die either. The 3 6-star demons' combined attack seemed to be powerful, but in fact, they only used 30 to 40% of their power. The Troll Emperor had told them before that they could only injure Murong Qingqing, but not kill her. Right now, seeing Yi Chen's figure appear, Murong Qingqing smiled and cried. Not dead. Great. But this doesn't seem to be the blood rebirth state. Yi Chen's resurrection made Xianhou feel relieved. But at the same time, she was confused. Although the method that Yi Chen used to condense his body was similar to the blood rebirth state, in her eyes, it was completely different. The blood rebirth state required the will of the blood to pull each other and quickly reassemble according to memory. Although there was will in Yi Chen's blood, it was not to the point of pulling each other. The reason why he could condense his body was because Yi Chen used his powerful immortal sword intent to force all the blood together. After all, these blood were all Yi Chen's. Once they were gathered together, they immediately sensed each other and automatically rearranged themselves. However, this was Yi Chen. Ordinary people who hadn't reached the blood rebirth state would not be able to be reborn even if someone helped them to condense their blood. Because their core will had already dissipated, and the fragmented will was not strong enough. I knew you wouldn't die. Only like this is you. Duguju laughed loudly, his white hair fluttering in the wind. I have to say, you just completed a miracle. Although I have heard of such things, I have never seen it. You have broadened my horizons. The Troll Emperor recovered from the shock and said coldly. Hell didn't accept me, so I had to come back. I have to thank you for that punch. I seem to have gained some understanding of the blood rebirth state. Reaching the blood rebirth state was not something that could be done in a day. No matter how talented one was, it was impossible to reach it in a few years. Although Yi Chen was at the peak of the flesh derivation state before, it would take him at least 2 or 3 years to successfully break through. Now, he had a feeling that every cell in his body had condensed enough will. Although these will were not as strong as the core will, they were still at the 3rd or 4th level. Don't thank me so early. You will still die soon. The dead don't need to thank the living. The Troll Emperor didn't think that the resurrected Yi Chen could do anything. If he could kill Yi Chen once, he could do it again. As for the Troll Emperor, it wouldn't matter even if he was killed 10 times. Is that so? Then let's wait and see. As he spoke, Yi Chen sent a voice transmission to Murong Qingqing. It seems that you don't have enough confidence in me. Fight with all your heart. Don't worry about me. Even if I die 10 times, I won't die so easily. Got it. Murong Qingqing was in a very good mood. The moment Yi Chen died, she felt like she had died too. Now that Yi Chen came back to life, every inch of her body was cheering and excited. A new power rose in her body, and the previous heavy injuries disappeared. Not good. She has completely activated the Dark Witch bloodline. The 3 6-star devils opposite Murong Qingqing smiled bitterly. The Dark Witch bloodline was an extremely noble bloodline among the demons. Once this bloodline was activated, the power it produced was unparalleled. Although this power couldn't be transformed into actual strength for a while, it would accompany her for the rest of her life. Moreover, it would produce an inexplicable pressure on the demons whose bloodline was lower than hers. Fortunately, the other party didn't just have the Dark Witch bloodline. There was also the human bloodline. If it was the real Dark Witch, they probably wouldn't have the courage to attack her. Let's start again. Yi Chen's eyes were as clear as the sky. This was the kind of eyes that understood life and death. Annoying eyes. The Troll Emperor shouted in a low voice. The surrounding space cracked inch by inch. His whole body turned into a black hurricane, sweeping toward Yi Chen. Wherever he went, the shadows of his fists filled the air. Boom! The sky shook. The two figures kept crossing each other. In an instant, they had exchanged more than 100 blows. Wait, his attack didn't increase. Why is he still unharmed? The more the Troll Emperor fought, the more he felt that something was wrong. Yi Chen's combat power was much weaker than his, but the other party could receive his attacks without a scratch. Is it willpower? Willpower protection? After exchanging more than 10 blows, the Troll Emperor finally understood. The other party had willpower protection. That willpower was immortal willpower. Most of his attacks would be neutralized. You guessed correctly. Yi Chen's voice echoed. Then let's see whether your willpower is stronger or my magic power is stronger. The Troll Emperor's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had decided that even if he had to pay a certain price, he would take care of the other. Otherwise, he really wouldn't know what level the latter could reach. It should be known that once the willpower protection reached an extremely obvious level, it meant that the willpower had reached the 8th step. There was a huge gap between the 8th and 7th step. Countless people had been stuck below the 8th step, and he was no exception. The Troll Emperor's guess was right. Yi Chen's immortal sword intent had indeed advanced from the peak of the 6th step to the early 7th step, which was equivalent to an ordinary 8th step sword intent. At the moment of life and death, the unwillingness in Yi Chen's heart had turned into the immortal power, allowing the immortal sword intent to surpass the destruction sword intent for the first time. After the advancement, the immortal sword intent wouldn't be much more powerful than the destruction sword intent in terms of offense. However, in terms of defense, it was unparalleled. He only needed to slightly activate the immortal sword spirit, and a layer of immortal sword intent would appear on the surface of his body. Without exaggeration, even if he didn't use his protective Jin Yuan, no king below 6 stars would be able to injure him. Yi Chen's side had turned the situation around, but the other places were getting more and more difficult. The demon kings of the demons were twice as many as the kings of Elysium. Basically, each of the kings of Elysium was fighting 1 against 2. In the short term, they might be able to hold on, but as time went on, some of the kings started to fall. Meanwhile, the demon kings of the demons who had killed their opponents would become a new source of strength, helping the other demon kings to kill their opponents. If this was considered the worst, then there was something even worse. The few 6-star devils who had no opponents started to kill people like flies. Wherever they went, there would be kings falling without any suspense. If no one stopped them, then Elysium would fall sooner or later. After all, there was only one Yi Chen. Let's die together. Knowing that they were going to die for sure, the kings of Elysium kept dying together with their enemies. However, the sad thing was that only 3 or 4 out of 10 times would succeed. I, Xia Hozuan, am not willing to accept this. If there is a next life, I will definitely wash the demons with blood. There were already a couple of king warriors who had died, and now, there was one more. Xia Hozuan from the surreal martial school had been shattered into pieces by two demon kings. Zun, Su King was extremely sad. Yi Chen, this is my last sword attack. Please take a look. Lu Xiaoyu, who had just paid a huge price to kill his opponent, did not look sad or happy. His flesh and blood were evaporating as that endless power gathered into the great sword in his hand. Then, he threw out a sword attack toward the incoming six-star devil. Swoosh! The treasured sword pierced through Lu Xiaoyu's body, but Lu Xiaoyu was also smashed into pieces, vanishing without a trace. You managed to break through my protective demon power. Unbelievable. This six-star devil had killed quite a lot of king warriors of Elysium. That sword attack from Lu Xiaoyu had made him feel a huge threat. It was something that could not be explained at all, since the latter's battling power was only at the early stage of 5-star, and that sword attack was obviously 10 times more powerful than before. I saw it. At this moment, your sword art has surpassed mine. Yi Chen's heart was heavy. That sword attack from Lu Xiaoyu was burning his life force. Even if he was not killed by the six-star devil, he would not be able to live for long. It was the last dedication of a sword artist, and also his last contribution to the sword art. Chapter 1008. If the battles between king warriors could be described as brutal, then the battles between high-level warriors could only be described as human lives are like grass. Thousands of people were dying at every second. In just 1 hour, the number of casualties on both sides had already reached 200,000. Emperor Realm Shattering Fist. A huge amount of red and yellow fist power shot out, and all the demons caught in the fist power exploded and died. The one who had thrown out the fist power was none other than Jing Aoshuan. After Yi Chen and the group of people had all reached life and death realm, Jing Aoshuan, Li Xiaoyun, and the others had become invincible beings below life and death realm. Right now, Jing Aoshuan had already reached the peak of the third layer of life and death challenge, and her power was not much weaker than normal life and death realm warriors. She alone had killed almost 100 demons. This girl is too arrogant. Let's kill her together. Jing Aoshuan's power had attracted the attention of the powerful demons. Soon, 7 first life and death realm demons had surrounded Jing Aoshuan. These 7 demons were actually at the same cultivation level as Jing Aoshuan, but because of the suppression of Elysium's rules, they had dropped to the first layer of life and death challenge. Kill. The 7 demons joined hands to attack Jing Aoshuan. Qi flows spread out, blowing up sand and stones. After dozens of rounds, Jing Aoshuan killed 5 demons with her absolute power. However, she had also been hit by the remaining 2 demons, falling down to the ground. Demon Power Fist. The demons who were good at fist arts performed their demons' martial arts, throwing out a punch toward Jing Aoshuan's head. Who? Right at this moment, an invisible barrier blocked the punch. Not far away, 2 people appeared. One was Li Xiaoyun, and the other was his girlfriend, Serenity. Just now, it was indeed Serenity who had formed a protective layer with her mind power, saving Jing Aoshuan from death. Jing Aoshuan, don't be careless. As he spoke, Li Xiaoyun's figure flickered, and the iron fan in his hand turned into countless shadows. With a bang, the demons that had been chasing after Jing Aoshuan were torn into pieces. As for the other demons, Serenity's will all drilled into its head. Thanks a lot. Jing Aoshuan was panting heavily. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that she had consumed too much energy, the 7 devils wouldn't have been a threat to her. Li Xiaoyun sighed, we haven't killed enough. The demons are way more powerful than us in terms of average power and endurance. On the Elysium side, there seemed to be 1,000,000 troops, which was half of the demons, but their real power was probably less than 1/3 of the demons. Among the demons, the lowest cultivation was at mid-astral reaching realm, and it was still under the effect of being suppressed. On the other hand, among the Elysium warriors, the lowest cultivation was at early astral reaching realm. Perhaps the Elysium warriors could use the advantage of their martial arts to make up for the difference, but as time went on, everyone would start to get tired, and their Jin Yuan would be consumed quite a bit as well. They would not be able to compete with the demons, whose life force was higher than theirs. Then let's keep killing. Slightly calming down, Jing Aoshuan's body flashed, flying toward the place with the most demons. Uxian, perhaps we will die, but at the last moment of our lives, I am already satisfied to have you with me. Li Xiaoyun looked at Serenity with deep emotion. Serenity touched Li Xiaoyun's face, me too. During the battle with the demons, Serenity was a bit absent-minded. She kept turning her head to look at the sky, thinking to herself, why are they not here yet? Hurry up. Sword Snake Spell. Sword Dragon Spell. Big Dipper 7-star Spell. On the battlefield, there was a group of people that attracted a lot of attention. They were the people of the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School. Individually, they might not be that powerful, but they could set up a sword spell and kill their enemies with it. Among them, the Sword Snake spell required 33 people to set up, the Sword Dragon spell required 42 people, and the most powerful Big Dipper 7-star spell required 49 people. At first glance, there were more than 10 Sword Snake spells, 7 Sword Dragon spells, and 2 Big Dipper 7-star spell. With the sword spell, they could usually fight against 2 or 3 demons at once. No matter how many demons there were, they would all be shattered by the power of the spell. They were invincible and unstoppable. Even some of the first-level life and death challenge demons had died under the Big Dipper 7-star spell. What a powerful sword spell! With this spell, the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School's name will spread across the world and become the #1 sword martial school. A lot of the surrounding warriors had a whole new level of respect for the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School. In the past, although the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School was famous, it was only because of Yi Qin. Yi Qin alone could make up for an entire martial school. Without Yi Qin, the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School would only be a normal rank 6 martial school. But now, with the sword spell, even if Yi Qin was not there, the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School would still be a top rank 6 martial school. This should be the sword spell created by the Sword King Yi Qin, right? Only he could be this talented and bring the sword art to a new height. It is not just limited to sword arts. Some people guessed. Qin's sword spell is indeed useful. Within one of the Big Dipper 7-star spell, the warriors who had set it up were all at the Sea of Souls realm, with Yi Tianhao as the eye of the spell. Right then, Yi Tianhao said to Shen Yuqing with a smile. Unfortunately, the more powerful 8-trigram extermination sword spell could not be set up. Shen Yuqing's brows were constantly furrowed. Their side had always been successful, but a lot of people had died in other places. The Fallen Dust Sword Martial School had also lost 3 Sword Snake spells and 1 Sword Dragon spell. 8-trigram extermination sword spell, even with Qin's explanation, it is still too profound. Yi Tianhao sighed at the fact that the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School's foundation was still too shallow. If they were given another 10 years, the overall power of the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School would definitely double. If it were 100 years, the power of the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School might even increase by 10 times. 42. 43. Although Zhang Haoran was a member of the Fallen Dust Sword Martial School, his path had already been decided. Therefore, he did not train in sword arts, and only used his bare hands to kill the demons. Lynch, how many have you killed? From far away, Zhang Haoran's voice came to Lynch's ears. 50. After splitting the bodies of the 3 demons, Lynch continued, now it's 53. Damn, looks like I have to work harder. Zhang Haoran's fighting spirit did not decrease. Instead, it increased. He and Lynch were not purely competing. Instead, they were using the competition to make themselves forget about fatigue. Jie, die. After killing Lu Xiaoyu, the six-star devil was invincible. Even the sky-splitting spear emperor and the mountain sovereign could not stop him. In just a short while, he was killed on the spot. At this point, there were only about 200 kings left in Elysium, while the demons still had more than 700 demon kings. The gap had widened to 3 times. On the other side, Pooh! A sharp sword pierced through the air. The 6-star demons finally could not regenerate anymore and died. He's finally dead. Yi Chen, who was fighting with the Troll Emperor, heaved a sigh of relief. Previously, he was about to kill the old demons, but at the crucial moment, the Troll Emperor destroyed his body with a punch, allowing the old demons to escape. After recovering, Yi Chen continued to use the 9-in-1 swordsmanship to chase after the old demons. No matter how far the old demons ran, he could not get rid of him. Even if you kill 1 or 2 more, what's the use? The Troll Emperor's attacks were like a thunderstorm. During this period, he did not forget to use words to attack Yi Chen's confidence. At least we haven't lost yet. Yi Chen tried his best to block the Troll Emperor's attacks. Then you can only watch as everyone dies. The Troll Emperor's eyes were cold. To be honest, the fact that Elysium could fight until now was more or less out of his expectation. However, since it had reached this point, there was no need to think about anything else. The demons still had more than 700 demon kings, which was enough to crush the kings of Elysium. Are we really going to die? Yi Chen could not help but glance in the direction of the dragon god's celestial palace. If senior sister Su Jing did not come now, then when would she come? In the endless void, there was a spherical space. Roar! A sonorous dragon roar burst out, and the surging space power in the void seemed to have condensed. In the next moment, a golden figure flew out of the spherical space, as fast as a golden light. Junior brother Yi, I'm here. Wearing a golden robe and a head full of soft long hair, Su Jing's eyes were golden, and her face was smooth and flawless. A faint golden halo could be seen amidst her pure white skin. Her entire body was filled with a frightening power that caused the void to tremble. Anyone standing in front of her would feel very small. Swish! With a flash of golden light, Su Jing disappeared without a trace. The ocean gazing was a mess. Black shadows were clashing with each other like tides, leaving behind endless blood and wreckage. The entire True Spirit continent could feel and hear the bitter aura. Vaguely, everyone on the battlefield seemed to hear the roar of a dragon. They did not think much of it, thinking that it was an illusion. After fighting for so long, they were already extremely tired. Hallucinating was very normal. Dying in an illusion was also a good thing. At least, it would not be so painful. Roar! The dragon roar, which was 10 times louder than before, continued. No, it's not an illusion. It's a real dragon roar. Many transformed demonic beasts felt their knees go soft. This was the instinctive reaction of a lower being facing a higher being. Rumble. Endless golden light exploded, and the entire sky seemed to have turned golden. Amidst the blood clouds condensed from blood chi, a huge golden figure of unknown length was swimming at high speed. It seemed slow, but it was actually extremely fast. Wherever it went, the blood clouds were dispersed. By the time the sky cleared up, that huge figure had already disappeared. That's a divine dragon. Some transformed demonic beasts' faces shone with a devout light. Even a divine dragon had come to participate in the battle. Why would they be afraid of death? On the ocean near the ocean gazing, the kings were fighting unceasingly. Basically, each king of Elysium had to face 3 demon kings. I can die without regrets. A smile appeared on Yan Fengfeng's face. Up until now, she had already killed 6 demon kings. Her body ignited with a blue flame, and she was about to meet her death. Bang! A few thousand li long dragon with pure golden light all over its body swam over. Its speed was indescribable. By the time Yan Feng Feng came back to her senses, the 4 demon kings around her had already disappeared, as if they had never existed in the first place. This kind of scene happened frequently. Everyone could see a huge dragon shuttling between them. In a short period of time, dozens of demon kings had died under the dragon's attack. They did not know how powerful the dragon was, but they knew that in terms of group-killing ability, even Yi Chen and the Troll Emperor could not compare. Just that several thousand li long body of hers could scare people silly. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.